So I'm going to start off with giving you 3 ways that you can help me, and you're going to be able to find all of this on my Substack, which I'm also going to give here in a minute. But you can subscribe to my Substack as a paid subscriber. It's $5 a month. It's just there as an added way to support me. You can also send me direct support via Stripe. That link will be in the description. You can also try out the crypto link that'll also be, it won't be in the description here, but it'll be in all of my Substack posts. There's a little QR code. I've not received any payments that way. I'm not a crypto guy. So all I can tell you is that money, if it's ever sent to me there, it's done through Proton, and Proton doesn't allow for people to confiscate that money from what I understand. I could be mistaken. This is all new to me. I'm not a influencer. I have a really difficult time navigating the, as I call it, the algorithmic wave. But anyway, I'll try to make those opportunities more available to you guys. I'm doing the best I can, but there are ways to support me. If you have specific questions, send it my way and I'll do my best to explain it to you or send you links if you can't find them in anything that I've been posting. Anyway, I don't know if you read my Substack, but it's located at juanapril.substack.com. That's JUANAPRIL.substack.com. Juan April is the stupidest name ever. If you say it fast enough, you'll realize that it's 1 April, as in an April Fool. No, I wasn't born in April, but I feel like a fool most of the time. The last post that I put on Substack was pretty personal, and it was a lot of venting, and I had some allies that jumped in there and showed some concern, and I understand it. Just know that I'm venting a bit, and I'm trying to whip myself back into shape. I'll tell you a little story real fast that's not on my script here that I'm wanting to chat with you guys about. But a few years ago, I went hiking. I used to hike all the time. The incident I'm talking about right now actually caused me to stop hiking because I started questioning my choice-making ability on said hikes. But I was out hiking, had all of my gear, had a firearm on me, had my rucksack on me, had my fishing gear on me, because that's what I actually went to do, was hike out to a spot and fish. I tested a riverbank that was probably about 20 or 30 feet up and thought everything would be good. If I'd had one of my kids with me, I would have never tested it. The entire riverbank collapsed on me. I fell into over my head water, busted my foot up, basically broke it. It was a fracture, but knocked myself loopy and somehow made it to a sandbar. So that whole experience showed me that I was an idiot. Number one, I'm pretty self-deprecating in that manner, but on that sandbar, I couldn't get back up to the riverbank. It was too high up and I had to traverse water. There were some fallen trees in various ways that I thought I could pull myself along because I couldn't use my foot. It was jacked up. I didn't have a whole lot of strength, and God, I'm so much fatter than I was in the Army. So as I'm out there trying to pull myself along, I kicked my own ass verbally about how fat I was, how I should be stronger than this. It's just how I operate. I kick my own ass. Don't think anything of it. But in the Substack post I mentioned earlier, I talk about the frustrations that I think we all deal with. I refer to the slow boil, which I think the saying goes that a frog in a boiling pot, if you slow boil them, they never know to jump out. They don't realize that they're getting ready to boil before it's too late. And that's how I see what's going on in our country right now to some degree. But then a lot of it's also self-inflicted that's causing this slow boil. Particularly, I talked about the feast or famine that seems to define our current existence as part of that slow boil. We feast on headlines, we feast on finger pointing, but we have a famine of meaningful action. We're not doing the meaningful things. We spend all of our time online rather than getting out there and doing the things we need to do, putting in that legwork. I believe I also called out the fact that our righteous anger, it burns bright. My righteous anger, my rage burns very bright. But when you do that, you miss valuable targets. In the Army, my soldiers called me Sergeant Rage, and they talked about my scorched earth policy, which meant when I got to this certain point, I just started spitting venom and fire across the landscape, and people were catching strays. And when you do that, you expend a lot of energy, but you're not hitting the things you need to be hitting. I needed to be more targeted. Now, I could be more targeted, but when I hit a certain point, that was what happened to me. One of my key beliefs is that a lot of people mistake being right with being victorious. I'm right, therefore I win. But that's not how things go. If being right was what made us victorious, Trump wouldn't be in office right now. A lot of the things that are happening would not be happening. And this isn't a movie. Plenty of people have died or been defeated while simultaneously being correct. They fought for right and they lost. This isn't a movie. Like I said, this isn't a TV show with a happy ending unless we navigate towards that happy ending through being more intelligent and being more focused in our attacks and our defense. That's not to say that I have the exact formula for victory. I just know it's going to take a lot more than what we're currently dishing out. Our Supreme Court is complicit. At least half of our legislators are corrupt and bought and paid for, or at the very least scared, because they aren't really scared of violence against themselves, regardless of what they might say. They're afraid that they'll lose their position in this rigged system. If you go against the grain and you lose an election, you're not going to get those jobs on the backside that you hoped for to keep you and your family in that higher echelon of middle managers, which is what politicians are. Now, I don't say these things to flex on you. I don't have the muscle tone to do such things, but I just know it's going to take a lot more bold action. It's going to take a lot more than what we are doing right now. And I know there is an undercurrent of people that are putting in that work. We've just got to keep connecting with each other, sharpening each other's ideas, and moving towards a more coherent defense and offense against this fascist regime. Now, you see, that brings me to the more personal side of my Substack post today, and that was my own immediate family's privilege. My significant other and my kids, God bless them, they know what's going on. They know I'm correct about our trajectory. They know that the country is headed in a horrible direction, and they know people are suffering. But because they won't acknowledge that they can fight against this, they're content to live in their privilege. They're content to have dad shoulder all of this burden, even when I'm begging them for support. And that post was venting on that a lot. And I love my family, and I'm not lying when I say that I'm frustrated with them, but know that I've not given up on my family at all. And I'm not giving up on this fight. Now, I've had some serious fights in my life, and that makes me bristle when people accuse me of privilege, even though I am privileged. The things I've been able to accomplish, if my skin color would have been different, I mean, other than this beautiful alabaster doll of a skin tone that I have, it could have been a lot worse. Now, I've been targeted because of my skin tone before, but nowhere near what people of color have to deal with. And so even though I bristle, I have to acknowledge that I've been privileged compared to most, and my family has definitely been privileged because the things that I've experienced, they've not ever had to experience because I've experienced them and I've shielded them from them to some degree. I'm pretty sure that the local school system has my family name in their faculty handbook. Don't fuck with my kids. Don't cause any problems, and rage won't go ragey on you. My kids don't know struggle. They see me struggle, but I think they have a hard time understanding it. Now, my wife had a completely opposite life from me. She didn't have to worry about money. She didn't have to worry about where she stood in her family. She was the golden child. My wife is an absolute sweetheart, but that doesn't, being a sweetheart doesn't make you understanding of what is going on in the world. So sometimes that frustrates me. We come from different worlds, opposites attract and all that shit, but I love my wife, but trying to get her to understand this, understand what we need to be doing other than just pitying or feeling bad for the people targeted. It's been a struggle. And I keep trying to push the fact that eventually that comes for us. I'm an opinionated guy. And if someone comes to my doorstep and expects me to just fall in line, they got the wrong guy. I'm not a yes guy. When I ran in politics, When I became a mayor, that was one of the biggest detractions before I won office, was that I was just going to be a yes man. I ran a comic book shop and a tech repair shop, and people just assumed that I didn't know anything. And they learned really fast that you can't snow me over. Can't give me the old snow job. If it doesn't make sense, I'm going to say it doesn't make sense. And if you're trying to push me in a direction I don't want to go, fuck that. It ain't happening. Let me just break out of my comfort zone a little bit, though, and tell you guys, in all of this, I tried to explain to my wife that I've had it tough, but that my struggle and my empathy comes from knowing that I've had it easier than a lot of people, and that I know I'm not special. I've always fought, like in the workplace, when I see someone getting targeted. For example, my last workplace, white female coworker, targeted, fought for her. 2 ESL, English as second language coworkers. One of them was advanced age, over 70 years old, getting targeted by MAGA supervisors. And I would step in there, and I never, there's no benefit to me doing that. There's the dogs. My dogs don't care. But none of that benefited me. I didn't move up in my career. I got put in kind of a timeout, but I still fought for these people. I still made sure that my coworkers that were being targeted, exploited, or bullied didn't do so alone. I would jump in there. And that empathy comes from knowing that if I hadn't done that for myself in all of these different situations, I would be a shell of who I am. I would just be, I might not even be here, because people will take advantage of you until there's nothing left of you to give. Sure, I look crazy to everyone else that lived in their comfortable lives at work, and people that just want to stay out of the drama and tell you that it's not your fight and you're too negative and all of that stuff. But I'm a realist, and I'm not talking Iggy Azalea either. I'm just real about the fact that if we don't stand up for ourselves, no one else will. My mentalities cost me my career time and time again, opportunities, and I don't have a lot of money. I don't exploit people to make money, and I don't beg for money, and I don't take advantage of any opportunity to just shove handfuls of money in my pocket. It's also why I wasn't very popular amongst establishment politicians, and I wasn't popular among the wealthy people who were used to backing politicians. It's also where I come from whenever I say that politicians are just middle managers, because that's how all wealthy people treated me as an elected official. Not that I was in charge, although they did try to flatter me and act like I was in charge of things and that I had all of this access. But the fact of the matter was that, or they saw me as a middle manager, and they wanted me to fall in line with what they wanted by giving me money and paying me to middle manage. Now, I vent in that Substack post about this continued sacrifice for my morals, for my conscience, for my defense of others. It was meant as a way to serve as an example to my wife and my kids, but instead I've felt increasingly the burden of my fight without the support of my family. I'm working on it. They tell me I'm right about my fights, and about my understanding of what's going on in the world, but they are very abrasive to my calls for sacrifice and for my calls for action. In short, they're trying to live as if the world isn't burning while acknowledging that it is burning. And to me, that's the very definition of privilege. If they could just give me an hour a day to support me and do some of the things that I normally do so that I could focus on the things I need to be doing, it would take a load off of my mind. It would take a weight off of my shoulder. And I'm still trying to convince them that that's what they need to do. And I know that other people are dealing with similar issues. Many of you have it worse. I have allies who have MAGA immediate family members. It's gotta hurt. It's gotta hurt to know these people that you care about and you love are so selfish or so stupid that they can't think about anyone else but themselves and the people they immediately know. They compartmentalize that everybody else is like an NPC or something, So here I am. Maybe I'm where you guys are. Maybe you guys are at the end of your rope too. In my post, I talk about feeling betrayed and disappointed. Do I neglect the resistance for a family who won't, get on board? Do I keep pushing and pouring my energy into a fight while they reap the benefits of my labor and the system that I'm trying to dismantle? Playing both sides. While I'm working so hard to fight the system, they're enjoying the system and enjoying my efforts to protect them as well. The answer for me, and I want to put this out here, I didn't do a very good job in my post, but I need to press forward. Maybe I have to ignore the privilege of my family in order to focus on pressing the fight against the enemy. Maybe the family never gets on board and they enjoy that I'm victorious. I've solved all of our problems with all of my allies. We've solved the issues and they never have to experience anything. And that just sounds like fatherhood and motherhood and general parenting, sacrificing, and your kids might never see or appreciate it. But maybe I fail and maybe I go to jail. Maybe I go broke. Maybe I go everything in between and those two things, But maybe, just maybe, I survive all this and enjoy the fruits of my labor. I mean, that's the dream. I want to ride off into the sunset one day and not have to deal with these issues, but it's going to take my balls to the wall efforts to get this done. Maybe we salvage this system and my family never suffers, other than to think about how much I've been harsh to them in my pushing for them to support me and to do more for the resistance. But either way, I'm going to keep fighting for what's right. And I appreciate you guys listening to me. These podcasts are not easy for me to do at all. And it's really me stepping out of my comfort zone. So if I ramble too much or a point's unclear, shoot me a message. Let me know. I'll follow up on it. I'll make sure that I clear up any misunderstanding. This podcast was actually the result of an ally that seemed concerned with my post. And I wanted to make sure that I cleared that up a little bit. Thank you guys again. And let's get it done.